Hello, and welcome back to Viva La Action, the action movie podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host Grayson. I forgot the good, the bad, and the underrated part.
Yeah, that's okay. People know by this point. Yeah. If you don't, go back and listen to another episode.
Yeah, honestly, if you don't know the show by this point, I don't know why you jump in now. This is kind of a random spot.
50 episodes in.
Yeah. Two disheveled looking people just talking about some nonsense. Hi Grayson, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's our big 50. We don't look a day over 45.
Yep. We both say in our 20s.
Yeah. This episode has been long delayed. We had some scheduling conflicts, and then after those scheduling conflicts, we had some animal related emergencies. Mostly me. I had a dog who ate like a sock or something, so he had to get surgery to get that out. So that's good for me. But anyway, we're pushing ahead.
Yep.
Because it's what the people demand.
Yes.
They want movie content, and that's what we're here to provide. But before we get into the main episode, Grayson, I just wanted to say thank you for being my co-host for these last 50 episodes.
This has been really fun. It's
been really fun. This has been your trial, and unfortunately you failed, so I will be replacing.
All right. GG's. See you guys later, I guess.
No, but legitimately, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody listening. It's been a blast. We've managed to grow over these last 50 episodes, which is kind of insane. And here's hoping we can do at least 50 more.
That'd be pretty sick. If we can hit 100, I don't know, I'll show hole or something.
Oh, shoot. All right, you heard it here first, everyone. Episode 100, Grayson shows hole.
Nah, if we can hit 100, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, no, this has been really fun. I never really thought I'd do anything like this, but I've had a blast. This has provided me a really good opportunity to watch a lot of really cool movies and talk about them. So it's been an honor and a privilege.
Absolutely. And speaking of cool movies, we watched a cool movie, didn't we?
I mean, if you have a weird newfangled definition of cool, yeah.
Yeah. Because, baby, we watched Samurai Cop.
Yep.
His real name is Joe Marshall. They call him Samurai. He speaks fluent Japanese. He got his martial arts training from the masters in Japan. He was brought over here from the police force in San Diego to fight us.
To fight us? To fight me? To destroy my operation? To kill you and my other men? To put handcuffs on me? And put me in the gas chamber? Samurai? If he's a samurai, what the hell are you?
I'll get to know him. And then we'll see who the real samurai is.
So you know where our man is?
Yes, boss. I know the hospital and the room. And he's burned bad. Real bad. He won't be able to talk.
I want him dead. I want his head cut off and brought here. I want his head on this piano so that every man in my organization understands once more that no katana gets captured alive or talks. Got that?
I will bring you his head and I will place it on your piano.
I know the real samurai is here.
Which, if you don't know, Samurai Cop is a 1991 action comedy film. I'm putting comedy in scare quotes there.
There's only one good joke, and we'll get to it.
Okay.
Only one.
This film was written, directed, and produced by Amir Shervan. who is an Iranian filmmaker. He's unfortunately no longer with us.
Damn.
But we'll talk about him and his interesting career in a minute. The film stars Matt Hannon as the titular samurai cop. His name is Joe something. Doesn't really matter.
Joe Samurai.
Joe Samurai, with support from Mark Fraser, Robert Zadar, Melissa Moore, and Gerald Akamura. This may surprise you, but Samurai Cop does not have a critical score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
However, it does have an audience score, which I found surprising is around 47%.
What?
Yeah. So slightly fewer than half the people who watched this movie enjoyed it.
You know who gave it like more than like 1 star are fucking the perverts who were just there for all the horniness. That's who liked this movie.
I agree. The film does not pass the Bechdel test. I don't know why it would.
I don't even know if it knows what the Bechdel test is.
No, I don't think so. It knows that women exist, and that they have breasts, and that's about all this movie seems to know. Finally, the plot synopsis from IMDb. 2 tenacious police detectives who seek at all costs to stop the Katana, a renegade Yakuza gang composed of violent and sadistic killers. That sentence makes about as much sense as the movie.
Yeah.
Now, Grayson, there's nothing to spoil in this movie.
Because nothing happens.
Nothing happens, and it doesn't make any sense. So we're not going to worry about spoilers, but just your initial thoughts. What did you think of this movie?
I genuinely spent at least 60% of that movie with my mouth agape. When we talk about like mouth on the jaw on the floor, I genuinely, because the thing with this movie is like they will do like the most absurd and jarring just hard cuts to a new scene.
Yes.
And they'll jump cut to just like the most absurd thing you've ever seen. It doesn't make any sense. There was no lead up to it. And so I spent 60% of the time with my jaw on the floor in total shock.
Yeah.
At just what I was viewing. This movie made me want to cry, and not in a good way. It was... I am lost for words. I don't know how anybody greenlit this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like this feels like it should be a skit out of movie 42.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like it is from the opening moments, it is baffling because for reasons we'll talk about, like there's the lead character. I don't even know where to begin. The lead character is deeply unlikable.
Oh God, I honestly was rooting for the Yakuza.
but not only is he like deeply unlikable, he is badly acted.
Yeah,
and he switches from having regular long hair to a really, really bad wig.
Yep.
Seemingly shot to shot. And the thing about this movie is when you're really paying attention, like not only does the movie change location scene to scene, it changes location shot to shot, right? So like like that opening car chase probably takes place over the entirety of LA. It's just
probably.
Like it like they'll be on one road, and then the next shot they're like by the ocean, and then in the next shot they're just in a quarry, like for no reason whatsoever. It's fascinating.
It is. Do you know the budget for this movie?
So that's something that I tried to look into it a little bit. The first figure, like if you Google Samurai Cop budget,
is $7,000.
Yeah, $7,000, which to me seems like a figure that has been made up. Like,
yeah.
you know, in the sense that it's like it feels like a number that's like, oh, that's a funny number. It's like $7,000. But from listening to interviews with Matt Hannon, who is the star of this movie, and also watching some other pieces, I think it was closer to like $20,000. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just even $20,000, like $19,000 of that was just for that fucking helicopter.
I mean, honestly, like $20,000 is a bafflingly low amount of money for a film. Like,
Yeah.
even, you know, to compare sort of rotten apples to rotten oranges, what's it called? Mexican American. Even that movie, I think, had a budget of like $80,000 to $100,000, which when you watch that movie, you cannot see the budget in it at all. But
No.
with this one, like there's moments where it looks like a movie, like a real movie from the 90s, and then there's moments where it looks like you said, like a skit or like a porno. Like there's a lot of this movie that looks like a VHS porno.
Bro, I swear to God, it felt like the director or whoever like made this movie wanted to make a porno, but when they pitched it to porn stars, the porn stars were like, "We don't want to do that because it sounds fucking stupid." So all the like creative team did was they just like every scene felt like the opening to a porno, and then we just never got the porn.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so I think some of that comes from, so the director was he's this Iranian guy. His name's Amir Shervan. And he originally started doing films in Iran, right?
Yeah.
And he did a couple of movies that were sort of catered more towards like the American market, but they didn't do very well for sort of obvious reasons. But then he moved to the US in, I think it was in the 80s, and he moved over here because of the Cultural Revolution in Iran. You know, sort of when the that country sort of turned more towards like Islamic extremism. Regardless, he moved over here, and pretty much all of his movies kind of follow the same formula. And I think he was inspired by Lethal Weapon, which if you've ever seen Lethal Weapon, you can kind of see where he's getting his ideas. Like it's that like buddy cop, you know, there's like a renegade white dude and like a by the books kind of black guy.
Yeah.
But it feels like like he's trying to make a Lethal Weapon film, but he doesn't understand like what makes that movie good. And so he's like, well, you know, that movie has like raunchy humor and a black guy and a white guy. So that's pretty much all I need, right? And he just like loads it up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And if you watch, because I asked you this beforehand, you watched this movie on Tubi.
Yeah.
I watched this because it's available for free on YouTube.
Oh shit.
So, but when you watch the version on YouTube, they cut out all the nudity, right? So there's just like a couple of scenes that are missing. And so
you're not
when
missing much.
Well, no, I know. I was gonna say, but so when you watch the YouTube version, it really truly does feel like the acting parts of a porno. Like it is just it's all lead up and no payoff.
Yeah. Well, and even the nudity, like, okay, the thing about the sex scenes in this, they are the most awkward,
yes,
and like just like unsettling scenes ever. Like there's no chemistry between anybody. These actors are giving us literally nothing. Like the acting is so like flat, and so when they go to do a sex scene, you're like, what? It genuinely feels like it should just be a porno, because it feels like, oh yeah, these two people are just getting paid to sleep with each other.
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
And I think what's interesting is, so Matt Hannon, who's the lead in this, he was not an actor, right? He had taken
that way, buddy.
yeah, well, he had taken some like acting courses, but his training was in martial arts, so he had done kind of like some MMA training,
Yeah.
which it wasn't called that at the time, but that's kind of what he refers to it as. And he was actually the bodyguard of Sylvester Stallone.
Oh.
So he was kind of in the movie business, and supposedly the way he tells the story is that he had gone to he was trying to get into acting, and he had gone, his agent had told him like, hey, I can't remember if it was his agent or if it was just a friend of his told him that this director was looking to cast people. And supposedly he just walked in the office and the guy was like, you're perfect. Like the director was like, you're my samurai cop, right? Handed him the script, and then they started shooting like a week later.
Shit.
So, you know, obviously not a lot of time to prep, but then also you have an amateur actor, and the way the shooting schedule is originally it was slated, they were like, we're going to we're going to shoot for 3 weeks, right? So this was meant to shoot over, I think it was June of 1990. So they shot for like about 3 weeks, went away, and I think Matt Hannon said that it was because he could tell that they were starting to run out of money. And so they went away for a while, and then the director called them back to do reshoots. But rather than it just being like, oh, we'll just pick up a shot here, it was like a lot of the movie still left to shoot. And so they did another 4 weeks of shooting. And then I think they did a little bit after that as well. So really, as the movie kind of progresses, you can see the actors getting frustrated, right? Like you can see Matt Hannon in particular, like a lot of his longer monologues and stuff, he is giving no emotion. And he did that on purpose because he was just like, I'm so sick of working on this movie that was supposed to be 3 weeks long. And, you know, it was supposed to be his like, you know, like his reel, right? Like that he could show off to get more jobs. But it's this crap thing. And also he had to be on it way longer than he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Which is just, I think makes the movie make a lot more sense.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I just like and I said this at the beginning, like there's only one good joke in this entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even that good. when the joke was told, I went, "You motherfucker."
Yeah.
That's the dumbest shit ever. I laughed a little bit, but that's the only time I laughed. The rest of the time I was like, I wasn't even looking at the movie because I had secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
Because of just like how bad this was. And the joke was, it's at the end where they're like busting into the like Yakuza's compound or whatever.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it the undercover cop joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the samurai cop guy goes over the fence.
Yeah.
And his partner goes under
Yes.
under the gate. And so he asks, "Why'd you go under?" And his partner goes, "'Cause I'm an undercover cop." I wanted to die. It was funny, but I was like, that's stupid as shit.
So here's the thing too about that. So that joke is actually ad-libbed. That was kind of a last minute joke because I guess that was happening during a reshoot, and they were just like, you know, had to do whatever, and the director was like, I don't know, just like say something. And so he was like, I'm an undercover cop. And then that's kind of why the two actors like look at each other like
Yeah.
what the hell was that, right? Because it's like it's just a stupid like
so dumb.
Like a lot of the better lines were ad libs, right? Like and Matt Hannon, because there's a great 2-part interview with him on YouTube. He did with Red Letter Media. If anybody wants to go check that out, but he was talking about how there were so many moments where the director kind of just let him do whatever he wanted. And so he would do something stupid because he thought, well, this is going to get cut out, right? Like this is so dumb. nobody would leave it in, but then it would end up staying in the movie, right? So there's a moment right at the beginning where they're in this bizarre car chase that doesn't make any sense, and they're supposed to be getting like air support from a helicopter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there's a moment where I think it's towards the end where he tells the helicopter pilot like see you later, or whatever, and he just goes like that. Well, apparently that was like ad-libbed. He was just like, I don't know, I'll just throw that in like as a funny thing, and they left it in the movie. So, a lot of this movie is just like people being like, I don't know, I just thought I'd do a thing and it'll get cut out, and then it just wasn't because the director just didn't cut anything out apparently. So,
yeah, you know what really didn't help the fact that every scene was just the acting part of porn.
What's that?
So many times somebody would like the two people would be left alone and one of them would just look at the other and go, "You want to fuck?"
Yeah, that happens multiple times.
I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Like,
I don't know.
What is happening?
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
The whole thing was so jarring.
So one of the things that I think is interesting, so after this movie was put together, it didn't actually get a theatrical release.
That's probably for the best.
Oh yeah, it was given to a Polish film distributor. So the only real release it had was in Poland on like VHS.
Nice.
And so it kind of went like undiscovered for a while. It was only rediscovered in the 2000s when there was this film producer. His name was, I think it was Gary. What is his name?
Gary Gygax.
Gary Gygax, creator of Dungeons and Dragons. Greg Hatanaka. He found a print of it in a film storage facility. And he was like, what the hell is this? And watched it. And he was like, this is incredible, right? Like just this like insane movie that nobody was talking about. So he started doing like screenings of it in LA. And it kind of got this like cult status. But one of the ways it got really popular was somebody posted a clip of that scene where he's like sort of flirting with that nurse. And it's that weird long monologue. And that got really popular on YouTube. And that's kind of how the whole like cult status of Samurai Cop started. So we can thank that very weird long monologue that makes no sense for us talking about this movie now.
Yeah.
Do you like what you see?
I love what I see.
Would you like to touch what you see?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to go out with me?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to fuck me?
Bingo.
Well, then let's see what you've got. Doesn't interest me. Nothing there.
Nothing there? Just exactly what would interest you? Something the size of a jumbo jet?
No, that whole scene where he's like talking with that nurse and the nurse just tells him like you have a small dick and like you got part of it chopped off when you got circumcised.
Yeah.
That was like the most absurd conversation. I was like this was that whole scene was just a prime example of like how every piece of dialogue in this movie was just not natural.
No.
Like it was written by a robot. Like by how like choppy it was, and like nobody talks like that to anybody.
No.
Even in that time, like when you watch other movies from the 90s, like the dialogue is still fairly, coherent and natural. obviously you're gonna have like slang and all that in different like intonation and whatever from that time, but it was like it was so hard to follow.
Yeah, and not only that, it goes for a really long time. Like
So long.
it is like a 2 or 3 minute scene, with, like you said, just a very unfunny like dynamic between those two.
Yeah.
And it is kind of funny in like a cringy way. Like the longer it goes, the more you're like, I can't believe this scene is like still happening.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like, and there's another scene we'll talk about in a second. It kind of feels like somebody forgot to say cut, right?
Yeah.
Like it just, and there's like weird pauses, and it has one of my favorite things from the movie, which is it will cut to a close up of Mark Fraser, who's the African American cop, just making faces, like he's just he's just like he's going like like
Yep.
just do it like, and a
Yep.
lot of the times it is completely incongruous with like what is happening.
Yep.
Like he barrels the camera a couple times, like that moment where he says he's an undercover cop.
Yep,
He
yeah.
literally looks at the camera like
Yeah. I expected the fucking like Seinfeld theme to start playing.
yes, yeah, or like a like
Yeah.
it's yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently that the reason for that is a lot of the reshoots happened, like the close-up reshoots. He just did them in his office, like the director. And so there's a reason why you'll be like, the background there doesn't look anything like where they are right now, right?
Yeah.
It's because it was all just shot like they literally just set up a camera. They're like, all right, Mark, stand in front of the camera. All right, you're laughing. Okay, you're surprised. Okay, you're, and just did that for like, however long. And they're like, all right, thanks. And then okay, Matt, now do your monologue. Okay, change your shirt. Okay, now you're whatever. Like, it was literally just like, all right, we've got a day. Just stand in front of the camera and just do whatever.
Yeah.
Which is why it's, and also the color temperature of like the film stock keeps changing.
Oh,
like,
it was awful.
Like it'll be regular, flesh tones, and then it's green, and then it's purple, and it's just like it's crazy.
Yep. Also, that scene where it's like the big shootout in the parking lot, kind of at the beginning.
Yeah.
That I don't know what they were doing or like what they had, but when that dude started spraying them with that little machine gun,
Yeah.
I don't know if they had like a fireworks thing that they were shooting or if it was supposed to be like an automatic shotgun. Like,
I don't know.
It didn't make any sense.
No. I mean, it doesn't make any less sense than anything else in the film, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's something.
Also, all the like extras that played like the goons.
Yeah.
The way that they like when I say that nobody in this movie knew how to act, I mean everybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not a the one of the most notable was at the end, this bigger guy like gets shot by one of them, and the way he like dies, for some reason he has like a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And like you can see him just like gently lay down and then die. And I'm like, bro,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. One of my favorite moments, so there is that opening car chase, which, like I said, it makes no sense. Literally, where they start and where they end, and like everything that happens in between. The driver changes, like the guy driving the van they're pursuing changes.
Yep.
I think the van they're pursuing changes.
Yeah.
Matt Hannon's hair, like I said, changes in between shots. Like sometimes he'll be wearing a wig, like a very obvious wig, and then sometimes he's wearing just like his regular hair. But regardless, at the end of that, there is a stunt where a man is on fire, right? and
Yeah.
it is very obviously not the man that is supposed to be on fire.
No.
And they also shoot it way too close up because you can
Yeah.
see that the guy is covered in that like gel that they put
Yep.
on them.
Yep.
And there's a very funny moment where he's all like, "Wah!" and then he falls on the ground and you can see his face.
Yeah.
And he's just like waiting for them to put him out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You can tell that dude that is on fire, like you said, is not the same dude that was driving.
No.
Like, it's clearly a stuntman.
Yeah. Like different face, different
Yep.
height, different build, like
Yep.
and apparently they did not have like a stunt coordinator. They literally just told the two actors like, okay, he's going to be on fire and you have to put him out, right? And so that them putting the blanket on him, that's them literally putting him out. Like, and I guess they like took the blanket off and he was still a little bit on fire. It's like keep putting him out.
How is this legal?
I don't know. Well, because it's non-union, so you can kind of just do whatever you want. But
damn, support your local unions, kids.
Honestly, although I will say this, right? One thing that I think people can be rightly critical of the film industry for, you have to have a certain amount of union hours before you can join a union, right?
Yeah.
But that is confusing because then you can't work on a union production until you're in the union.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times actors and crew members will end up on these like non-union productions because they need hours that they can log, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you wind up with something like Samurai Cop, because just a bunch of people are like, well, I can't work for, Hollywood, so I guess I'll work with this dude. And then, next thing you know, you're on fire in a field,
Yeah. What was it? Oh man. One of my favorite parts was they were I think it was the Samurai Cop guy was chasing somebody.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were both chasing somebody through like this neighborhood and they ran by this house.
Mm-hmm.
It was the backyard of the house and there was a dog in the yard. I don't know if you saw, but that dog started chasing them.
Yes,
yeah. That was the funniest thing.
Yeah. There's so many things in this movie where if you're watching like the background, you're like, oh, they're just shooting this like in public. Like
yeah.
Like a good example is like at the beginning, they're coming out of the police station.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real police station. They did not have permission to shoot there. And that cop who they like talked to, I guess he came out because he was like, what are you guys doing? Like, you can't shoot here or whatever. And the director kind of talked him into like being in that scene. He was like, don't worry, like somebody's going to go get our permit. Like we'll show, but while you're here, do you mind if we like shoot this, with you real quick? And he was like, I guess so. And then they just did that real quick and then took off because they're like, we don't actually have permission to shoot here. So...
Oh boy. That's crazy.
I love movies.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this thing was kind of a train wreck. I think part of the jarring that didn't help was there were so many like moments where you'd be like the music would be like one soundtrack and then it would just cut.
Yeah.
There's like no fade. They didn't like, go into one another. It was just like, all right, stop that track and start the next one.
Right.
It was awful. Also, the music was just kind of ass.
Yeah, I like the like theme, which is that like synthy like I think that's okay, but the rest of it is not good. It's just ambient like synthetic noodling. It's just not really anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating movie start to finish.
Yeah, it was upsetting to say the least.
It is upsetting. It's definitely like I think this is the kind of movie you would have fun watching with a crowd, right? Like
Yes.
like a bunch of people who can get into it and enjoy sort of the weirdness, but
Yeah.
I think watching it by yourself on your couch,
This is depressing.
it's a little depressing because you're like, I could be watching other stuff.
I literally could be doing anything else. Yeah. And well, and that's the other thing is the action is also just atrocious.
It's pretty atrocious. I think there's one or two like hand-to-hand moments that aren't terrible. Like there's some stuff where you're like, that's okay, like for the time, but yeah, most of it just looks like dudes just swinging a
Flailing.
foot from each other. Yeah, just
Yeah.
flailing.
Well, and when you said that there was no stunt coordinator, really, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes a hell of a lot more sense with why the action was so bad.
Yeah, and there's also, I mean, a lot of the fight choreography was done by one of the actors. So his name is Gerald Akamura. He's the bald Japanese guy. He's like one of the other Yakuza lieutenant guys.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we didn't mention. The villain's name is Fujiyama.
Yeah.
Which is, as far as I'm aware, not a real name, but
No.
Regardless,
Also,
yeah.
what kind of Yakuza gang name is Katana?
It's not a real one. I think it's just the director I think just didn't know any other Japanese words. I was just like, I don't know, it's the Japanese sword gang.
Yep.
But I was gonna say, so Gerald Akamura did a lot of the fight choreography. Because he was one of the only ones with actual like martial arts experience. But
yeah.
The rest of it, like that scene where they're in like the club and he has to fight with those like three guys.
Yeah.
Apparently that was just coordinated by the actors and they did it like 20 minutes before they started shooting. And you can tell. You can definitely tell.
Yeah,
I like the scene where he brings out a birthday cake in his thong. I think that's very funny.
Yeah. I know, and then they didn't even eat it. They just went and had sex.
Yes. Also, I let me just say this. So I was paying about as much attention to this movie as you can possibly pay. And there was a moment where I got the two female characters in this film confused.
Oh, yeah,
the two blonde women, because they are two, 20 to 30 something blonde women who look very similar.
Yeah.
And so there's a scene where one of them is getting tortured.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just thought it was the other woman. And so I was like, where did he go? I'm like, where is the samurai cop?
What happened?
What happened? Like, why is he not intervening? And then it cut back to him and he's in a Speedo carrying a cake. Yeah. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, is he like, did this take? And then it dawned on me. I was like, those are two different women. Those are like not the same character.
Yeah.
But it's confusing because he's supposedly in love with this random restaurateur lady.
Yeah.
But he also has sex with the other woman like earlier in the film. So it's like, you could forgive me for thinking that those were the same character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. No, that's understandable. Yeah, there's a lot of really confusing moments in this. I think one of the more confusing ones was when they went to the hospital after that one dude had been like burned alive or whatever.
Yeah.
And the like Yakuza members had like broken in because they needed to cut off that dude's head.
Yeah.
The way he cut the head off,
Mm-hmm.
it was like he was preparing like a Wagyu steak.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he like put his hands there. Like, okay, I'm gonna gently just cut this dude's head off. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Just lop the son of a bitch off and leave.
I also like how he was hiding in the laundry bin.
Yeah.
But he's still dressed as a doctor. Like,
yeah.
Like if
Bro.
you're gonna like just walk in, like they don't know what you look like at this juncture. So like
Yeah.
If you just walked in and like, I'm the doctor, they'd probably be like, okay,
All
like,
right. Great.
whatever. And then you just like, I understand they need the bin to put the head in, but
Yeah.
like, why is he hiding in the bin? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Just it's bizarre.
It's so wild.
Also, that guy's name is supposed to be like Yoshida or something like that.
Sure.
And he's a white dude. His name's
Yeah.
Robert Zadar.
They don't even hide it.
No, he's a pretty famous like B movie actor. A fun, not fun, but an interesting fact about him. He's kind of famous for his really big like chin. If you notice, he's got this like just really big face. He has something called cherubism. Yes, he had something called cherubism. He's since passed away, but and supposedly it's just some sort of like, I think it's like a gland problem where, you know, his face just gets really oversized.
Yeah.
And if you see pictures of him later in life, he has just got this like enormous chin. But it kind of worked in his favor, I guess. I mean, he got cast as a villain in a lot of stuff. He worked pretty steadily most of his life.
That's good.
But yeah, just an interesting fact about him.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he's not a good actor. I don't want to say that, but he's certainly doing stuff in this movie.
He's there.
He's there. He's got a sword.
I was gonna say that about the swords. They're so short.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're the shortest little swords. They look like toys.
They do.
They're totally not like threatening at all. If somebody whipped that out, I'd be like, "Aw, that's adorable."
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they were not real swords, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were toys.
Yeah.
So one thing I mentioned this when I pitched the film to you. I said part of the story of this film involves armed robbery. So
that's right.
So in 1992, which happened about a year after the movie came out, Matt Hannon, one of the principal actor of this movie, he took part in an armed robbery. He and an actor named Kuresh Jadali, who was a stunt coordinator that actually worked on the set of Samurai Cop. Obviously not for the whole thing, because they were just setting dudes on fire. But so he and this other guy, they stole a Rembrandt painting.
Holy shit!
They stole it from famous televangelist Gene Scott from his University Cathedral in Los Angeles. The painting was later found by police in the home of Karash Jadali. And Matt Hannon was arrested and he went to prison. I don't know how long he was in prison. I don't imagine it was like forever, because he's since out and he's done stuff since. But because of that, he kind of became he wasn't super aware of the like cult status of Samurai Cop. And funny enough, people for a while thought he was dead, because on his IMDb, it had kind of said like he worked from this year to this year, right? And there was nothing that had shown up for many, many years. But what actually happened is after he got out of prison, he actually changed his last name. So he stopped going by Matt Hannon and he started going by Matt Caritas or Caritas. And he was still working. I mean, he wasn't in a lot of movies or anything, but I think he's moved on to it's like consulting or something like that, something to do with like construction. So like I said, a lot of people actually thought he was dead. And so for many years, after this movie had gotten like a cult status and was whatever, people were like, oh, it's too bad we can't ever make a sequel because he's dead. Well, then one day, I think it was his daughter, was like, hey, you should shoot like a video and I'll put it on YouTube because everybody thinks you're dead. And he was like, okay. And so he actually just reemerged one day and was just like, hi, I'm alive. Like, and he was just shirtless. Like he's still ripped. Like, you know, he's a bit of an older guy now, but, you know, he's a bodybuilder. So he just kind of randomly popped up one day, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, he's still alive!" So that's fun. He both went to prison and sort of accidentally faked his death, which I think is interesting.
I was trying to see if I could find how long he went to prison for, but do you know where he went to jail? Because that should be public record.
I think it was in L.A., like in
In
California.
LA? Okay,
But
I
don't know for
might
sure.
look into it just because I'd be fascinated to know how long he was in prison for. I mean, stealing a painting, especially that famous of a painting. If I had to guess, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know, but also I think he may have gotten a lighter sentence because he wasn't the only one involved. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't just him. But I don't really have a lot of other details about that. I just think it's interesting that, some people have been like, was he driven to do this because of the movie or whatever? He said it wasn't. It was just because he just didn't have any money and just because, it was just something to do. And he just hated that guy. And so he wanted to steal that from him.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's living his life now. He still looks good. He's killing it out there. Not acting very much anymore, unfortunately. Nobody in this movie really is. But,
no. Well, and it looked like they made a sequel.
They did. Now, here's the thing about the sequel, though. I don't think it's worth watching because it is sort of like a Sharknado where it's kind of an intentionally bad film. And I just don't think that has the same charm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. Damn.
But if you want to see the cast reunited, then it's out there. I think it's on Tubi. So
yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think I saw it on there. But damn, armed robbery. That's crazy.
I know.
I think the funnier part of that is like him accidentally faking his own death.
Yes, I love that. I love the idea that he just changed his name and had no idea that anybody was like, oh my God, this guy's dead. Like, he's this mysterious figure. And then one day he just shows up on YouTube and he's like, hello,
Hey, I'm still alive.
Still alive. Yeah, it's kind of funny because when you see the interview with him in that Red Letter Media video, he looks the same. Like, even though it's been like 30 years or whatever, or 20 years at that point, he just looks like, I don't know how to explain it. He's just like, he just looks the same. And now he's a bit older. He looks a little bit different, but he's got the same haircut. He's still rocking the locks.
Hell yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you can say about it. It's just insane.
It's I would say, man, I don't know. I think you made a good point. I think watch this in a group. It's a lot better, I think, if you watch it with a bunch of people and kind of have fun with it. Maybe make a drinking game or just whatever out of it.
Yeah.
Because it truly is absurd.
It is absurd. I think it is a lot of fun, like, to watch. Yeah. Even by myself, I still was enjoying myself, like just kind of taking it in.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you've made it this far into this episode, I should have said this at the start. Like, talking about it doesn't capture what it feels like to watch it. Like it like the feeling you get watching it is like you've stepped into like an interdimensional portal and you're watching a movie from a different dimension. It's just like it doesn't feel right. It's just like
it feels like aliens were like, all right, how do we make a human movie? And then they just made this.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And it's like sorry. Try not to look like a little kid sitting on the floor. Yeah, it just doesn't. It makes no sense. The action is not good. But it's fascinating.
Did you notice at the end that big fight? There was one of the goons that backs up against the outside wall of the house.
Yeah.
That wall was not structurally sound.
No.
Like it seemed like when I saw him kind of bump into it, the damn thing almost fell over.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait a minute. Are they even shooting in a house? Or are these just like walls that they hastily put up to shoot this and then they're just going to tear it down?
No, there was no production to like build stuff. 100% that was just a regular house, but I would believe that it was just a badly constructed house.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz I like I said, he bumped into that wall and I thought it was just going to fall over.
Yeah, and one thing too, I mentioned it at the start. When you watch that final battle or any of this movie, like I'm not exaggerating. They literally a character will be in one room,
Yeah.
walk through a doorway, and when they emerge, they are in a different house. Like it literally, and then they will go into the backyard, and that is a different house. And then go further down the backyard, and then they're in a quarry. Like it's literally like there is no continuity to be spoken of.
Yeah.
The characters change outfits mid-scene. Like it's there is like the director was just like, I don't care. Like just we're gonna finish this at all costs.
At that point, I just say give up.
Yeah.
Take the L.
I mean, but I think I kind of admire the idea of like finishing it just no matter what, right? Like
I guess, yeah.
Like there is something bold about having just a deranged vision for something and just seeing it out no matter what.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I kind of admire that sort of tenacity.
Yeah.
In a weird way. It's what this show is, basically.
Yeah. You're right.
Just pushing through even though it's crap, you know?
Yeah, but it's our crap.
It's our crap. That's right. Well, Grayson, do you got anything else you want to say about Samurai Cop?
No.
Okay. Let me see if I've got any final notes. Let me see. Oh, one thing we didn't mention. A lot of the background actors, including people with speaking roles, are dubbed over by the director. So if they're not Japanese, or I'm sorry, if they're not women, and they're not one of the main actors, they were probably dubbed by the director.
Damn, that's crazy.
So there's something fun for you.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
I half expected some of those like chase scenes. Oh, that was the one thing. Were some of those scenes sped up, like the action scenes?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that was awful. I hated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looked it looked like the action in like an old black and white like Charlie Chaplin film.
Yes. Yeah. I can see that.
And I half expected that fucking song that the what?
Oh, yeah. The yakety sax. Yeah.
Yakety sax. Yeah, I half expected that to start playing. Yeah. I have expected that. I think you could put that in here and it would make the movie a little bit better.
Yeah, or the same, honestly. It's just so they call that, in case anybody's wondering, it's something they actually do too in a lot of martial arts films. It's called half cranking. So I know it's got a different context now. But back in the day, it used to refer to when cameras were literally hand cranked.
Oh.
So what you would do is you would crank it at half the speed, right? And so then when you played it at normal speed, it would be sped up, right? Because there were half as many frames. So it's still referred to as half cranking. And what they use it for, like in this movie, is when you have incredibly slow actors, who are not trained martial artists doing a fist fight, you do it to make it look a little bit more, precise.
Yeah.
But unfortunately what it results in this movie is, like you said, that sort of like wacky 1920s looking kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
it's
is
not good.
it's not a mark of quality. I'll say that.
No. No. Yeah.
Well, anyway, all right, Grayson. That brings us to everybody's favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
It's where you tell us what you would rank this movie out of 10.
Well, first and foremost, I would say, and I think I already kind of did this, but I would only recommend this movie if you watch it in a group and to. No, I think that's the only time I would recommend this. Don't watch this by yourself. Just don't. Um, and if you do watch it in a group, I don't know. Just have fun with it because it's a dumb, wacky, fucked up movie.
Yeah.
I just rate this like a 1.
Okay. That's fair.
It's a 1. The only it gets 1 point for that undercover joke. That's it. That's the only time I felt any emotion other than pure fear watching this movie.
Fear. Okay. I agree with you. I would give this. I think realistically, this is like a 1 or a 2, right? So I think I have to stick somewhere in that range. But I think on a so bad it's good scale, this is definitely like an 8 or a 9, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if you are like me and you are completely fascinated by train wreck films,
Yeah.
this is a good one. Like,
Yeah.
knowing everything that we just talked about, if you go and watch this movie, it just makes more sense and it just becomes this incredible experience. Yeah, I would recommend watch this movie if you're like me and you get joy out of that. If you're just like a, casual whatever, life's too short, don't bother. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think realistically this is like a 1.5. It's just
Fair.
I appreciate that they gave it a red hot go. But there's
I don't even know if they like gave it a red hot go.
I think the director was giving it a red hot go. I don't think any of the actors involved were trying that hard, but
Yeah.
I appreciate what this was trying to do, I should say.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
And I liked how goofy it is. I just enjoy goofy movies. I don't know.
You know what's really good is a goofy movie.
The goofy movie is pretty good. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think without that joke, I probably would have given this a 0.
Fair.
I can see your point in that they were like the director might have been trying.
Yeah.
But I think he needed to try a little harder.
Or a little less.
It didn't seem endearing enough. And with the actors putting in exactly 0% work, I was like, I don't know. I
think
it was rough.
It's pretty rough.
So I'm giving it the 1 for props to making me laugh.
Okay.
Because of that stupid joke.
Yeah.
I guess I will also say I think this is one of the only movies that has ever made me actually like keep my there were so many moments where like I was watching the movie, something happened that was so shocking, my mouth was just open in shock and awe, and then like a good like minute later I realized that my mouth was open. I was like, "Oh my god. This has never happened to me before."
Yeah.
So I will give it props for also just being one of the most baffling movies I've ever seen.
I think that's fair. All right. Well, that pretty much does it for that.
Yeah.
Which means it's time for everybody's second favorite part of the show. It's editor's picks, baby.
Hell yeah.
Why did you come under?
I'm an undercover cop.
Grayson, do you have a movie to recommend everybody go and watch?
I did have one. I had actually thought of it yesterday. Fuck. I can't remember. Son of a bitch. And it was a good one, too. Shit. You go first. I'll see if I can remember.
Okay. Well, it's spooky season. Which I'm a little disappointed that we ended up having to miss most of spooky season because I had some plans.
Yeah.
But that's okay. There's always next year.
Yeah.
But what I will recommend, my wife and I have been watching a lot of like spooky Halloween kind of movies. And one that I think doesn't get enough credit for just being a good, just family friendly, fun movie. I'm going to recommend Goosebumps, which is, and I'm talking about the film from 2015, starring Jack Black. It's a real PG movie.
Yeah.
Real cleaned up, but just a joy. I watched it again recently. It's not an action movie. It's not even really a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a good time.
Easy
Easy watch.
Seen it.
Yeah, it's like a McDonald's cheeseburger, It's like, is it doing anything good for you? Probably not, but damn,
No.
it tastes good, and it's just, goes
It's
down
there.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I got.
Excellent. Fuck, I'm so mad that I can't remember what I had originally thought of.
Oh, it's okay.
Fuck. It's been on my mind just because I'm gonna go watch. I'll settle for this because I'm gonna go watch a musical tonight. I'm seeing Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time. I'm a bad theater kid. I haven't seen Rocky Horror before.
That's okay.
But this has been on my mind for a while now. I've been wanting to rewatch it. Les Mis with
Yes.
Hugh Jackman.
Mhm.
If you're a fan of musicals, if you're a fan of Hugh Jackman, highly recommend the Les Mis movie. Or if you can, this is my little theater plug. Go watch if your local theater is putting it on. Highly recommend go see the actual live action show. But the movie is also fantastic. It does have Russell Crowe doing a subpar singing performance. But other than that, it is still a solid movie.
Hell yeah.
So highly recommend Les Mis. It's a great time.
Right on. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
That is a good movie. It's pretty
It is.
long, but I think it's a good
is.
movie.
It's a bit long. But I think they do a really good job of like staying true to the original musical.
Yeah.
And I think their casting for especially all the Barricade Boys is really, really well done. I love oh shit, what's his name? He plays Marius. He plays the main character in the fucking that Harry Potter spin-off thing.
Oh, Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne. I love Eddie Redmayne. I think he's a fantastic actor. I love that he's not on social media at all.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor. If you get a chance to watch him in anything, I highly recommend it. He's a really good actor.
For sure.
And he's got a gorgeous voice.
Yeah.
So, when he sings that one of the final songs at the end, "Empty Chairs at Empty Tables," oh, heartbreaking. So good.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
All right, do it up.
Hell yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. And let me just say thank you all so much for listening.
Yeah.
big 5-0. We did it. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
We're gonna be back in 2 weeks' time.
Hell yeah.
But until then, you can like and follow and subscribe and all that stuff on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We're big over there on the YouTubes. Leave a comment. Send us an email to vivalaaction@gmail.com.
Yep.
You can click the link in the show notes if you want to recommend us a film to watch. Likewise, you could what's the other thing that I tell people to do? Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, like I said.
Shout out to more of my coworkers for getting stickers.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for repping the pod. We appreciate it. Yeah. It's election season. Go vote.
Yes, I already did early voting on Thursday or Friday. So
yes, go vote. Go participate in your democracy. If you live in the U.S., if you don't, then I don't know. Just go eat some baked beans or whatever.
Got him.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Yep.
And if you want to find Grayson, you'll find them atop the Notre Dame castle thing. Whatever was it? Cathedral?
Cathedral, eating a grilled cheese.
Eating a grilled cheese. And you'll find me
in the sewers.
Deep inside the sewers, running in a circle.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.